Welcome to my channel Ratri Theater. Now we discuss about motivation and success in this video. Before that, like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Okay, then let's start the video.
Personal growth isn't about becoming someone else. It's about revealing the person you were always meant to be. But how do we get there? What happens when we stop pretending we're fine and confront who we really are? It's a journey that will challenge every belief you've held about yourself. But trust me, it's worth it. Introduction. You. Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive into personal growth. Today, we're talking about something that's not always easy to discuss: the true journey of growth. Personal growth is one of those buzzwords that's thrown around everywhere, but very few of us understand what it truly entails. We hear it, we want it, but when it comes down to actually doing the work, that's when things get real. Personal growth isn't a destination. It's a process, a lifelong journey. It's about constantly becoming better than you were yesterday. But the truth is, the road to growth is filled with challenges, doubts, setbacks, and moments where you question everything. Today, I'm going to take you through my journey of growth, showing you not just the highs, but the deep lows that are part of this process. And I'll share the lessons I've learned along the way, so you can take them with you on your own path. So, if you're ready to embrace the discomfort, learn through the struggles, and discover who you truly are, keep watching. Challenge, start. You. When I first decided to take my personal growth seriously, I had one major realization. I had been living life on autopilot. For years, I thought I was growing, but in reality, I was just going through the motions. I was living according to expectations, others' expectations, society's expectations, not my own. And I had been ignoring the parts of me that needed attention the most. I knew I had to make a change. I had to stop pretending that everything was fine and confront the truths I'd been avoiding. I started by setting clear goals, but not just any goals. I focused on the kind of person I wanted to become, not just the accomplishments I wanted to achieve. It wasn't about success or status. It was about personal transformation. I set 3 major goals for myself: to become more confident in who I am, to break free from limiting beliefs that were holding me back, to embrace discomfort, knowing that true growth lies beyond my comfort zone. But the reality of those goals wasn't as glamorous as I'd imagined. I had to confront parts of myself that I didn't even want to face. And that's when I realized something crucial. Growth doesn't happen until you decide to dig deep and face your fears head on. It's not easy, and it's not supposed to be. Mid-challenge highlights. You. At first, it felt like I was moving forward. Slowly but surely, I could feel the subtle shifts happening. I was waking up earlier, journaling consistently, and starting to make healthier decisions in my life. But that's when the true work began. Growth is not just about what you do, it's about how you change your inner world. I started learning how much our mindset shapes our reality. For instance, I had always been the kind of person who feared failure. I avoided risks because I thought I'd never be good enough. But as I pushed myself to take more risks, I started to reframe failure. I learned that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey. It's the feedback we need to refine ourselves. I also began meditating and reflecting deeply on the way I viewed myself. Negative self-talk, imposter syndrome, and a fear of judgment held me back more than I realized. But as I began to quiet those voices, I became more attuned to my true desires, my passions, and my worth. Another important tool that helped me was building routines around self-care. I focused on my physical health, but I also had to take care of my mental and emotional health. I made it a point to practice gratitude every day, to appreciate where I was, even if I wasn't where I wanted to be. The practice of gratitude helped shift my perspective. Instead of focusing on what I didn't have, I started appreciating the progress I'd made. But that doesn't mean it was all smooth sailing. Every step forward was met with a challenge, and that's when I learned a hard truth. Growth is not a linear path. Some days you feel like you're climbing mountains. Other days it feels like you're stuck in a valley. But that's part of the journey. Struggles or setbacks, and then, of course, there were the setbacks. Let me be clear, setbacks are normal. If you're on a growth journey, you will face them. There were days when I wanted to quit, days when the mental pressure felt unbearable. I'd look back at my goals and wonder if I'd ever get there. The self-doubt crept in, and my old patterns of thinking resurfaced. There were moments when I tried to be everything all at once, trying to work on every part of my life simultaneously, only to find that I wasn't making any real progress. I had to learn to prioritize what mattered most and give myself permission to not have everything figured out. The negative self-talk was probably the hardest challenge to overcome. I started telling myself things like, "Who am I to be doing this? What if I fail?" But here's the thing, no one is exempt from these feelings. Everyone struggles with some, but the difference is how you respond to it. Do you let it control you, or do you acknowledge it, learn from it, and keep moving forward? I had to practice resilience. And resilience isn't about never failing. It's about bouncing back each time you fall. I had to remind myself that growth isn't about being perfect. It's about learning from your imperfections. Climax. The true turning point came when I faced my biggest fear. I had the opportunity to speak in front of an audience, and my first reaction was to panic. I almost backed out, telling myself that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't ready. But in that moment, I realized something huge. My fear was paralyzing me, but I also understood that it wasn't the fear that mattered. It was how I responded to it. I decided to move forward despite the fear. I showed up. And when I did, something clicked. It wasn't perfect, but I felt more alive than I ever had before. I realized that the fear I had been running from wasn't something to avoid. It was something to confront and learn from. That moment of vulnerability, of stepping into the unknown, was the breakthrough I needed. I was no longer letting fear dictate my actions. I was choosing to grow, even when I didn't have all the answers. And that's when the real shift happened. I realized that my potential was not limited by my fears. It was defined by my willingness to face them head-on. Conclusion. Looking back on everything, I can honestly say I'm not the same person I was when I started. The growth has been subtle, but it's been profound. I've become more comfortable in my own skin, more resilient in the face of challenges, and more compassionate with myself. I no longer chase perfection. Instead, I focus on progress, the small victories, the moments of clarity, and the lessons learned along the way. The results have impacted every aspect of my life, my relationships, my career, and most importantly, my relationship with myself. I've learned that personal growth is not about doing more or being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about showing up, no matter how imperfectly, and allowing yourself to evolve at your own pace. But most importantly, I've learned that growth is not a destination. It's a journey that never ends. And even when the road gets tough, I know I'm on the right path. The path toward becoming the best version of myself. I'd love to hear from you. What part of your life are you focusing on for personal growth right now? What fears or obstacles have you had to face along the way? Let's talk about it. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Personal growth is a journey we're all on together, and hearing your stories inspires me to keep going. If you want to dive deeper into overcoming setbacks or building resilience, check out my next video. Let's keep growing together. End of video.